That's the
three
name of the
E's,
game
baby.
these days.
The
Yeah.
3E.
Stole that from the Dog Whisperer. But welcome to another episode of the Wisco Fanatics Show. If you live in Wisconsin, you know that it is officially winter in Wisconsin. It is cold as hell outside.
Yes.
And that's an oxymoron, obviously. But we are now to the point where it's like dark at 4 o'clock and like the moon is out like all day. So there's that. I mean, which is okay if you like looking at the moon. But
or if you're into those weird crystals.
Touche. It's like negative 14 degrees today. So it's like, yeah, if it wasn't cold on Saturday during the Packer game and the Packers were going to be playing again this week, it would be insanely cold. James, what's up?
What's up, buddy?
It would be even colder. But one of my coworkers told me it's supposed to be like 40 next week. So we get a little like fake spring in the beginning of February, but
that'll be nice, even if it's just one day to have a break, man. Jesus.
Right. It'd be nice if it was next Wednesday. That's Lily's birthday. I'm going to have a 7-year-old next Wednesday, which is a good time to remind anybody. Next week, the show will be on Thursday, not Wednesday. So next Wednesday being my oldest daughter Lily's birthday. We are doing the show next Thursday, so we will have a Wisco Fanatics Thursday next week. But we're going to talk about the Packers today. We're going to do 5 takeaways from the Packer game, and then we're going to do the top 5 moments of the season for us, and then we're going to close the book on 2021. That's what we're going to do. We're not going to spend a ton of time, hammering on the negativity, because that's not what we do. We talk about the way that Jake and I do the show. We call ourselves cautiously optimistic, so we're going to close the book on the negativity. We're going to relive some of the stuff that we had fun with. And then from then on, it's going to be all about 2022. So we're excited to do the draft prep again. We had a lot of fun with that, and it helps us get to know the league and the players better. And then once free agency stuff starts happening and trades and stuff like that, we'll get into that. But you guys got to watch what you say on Facebook. You guys get banned all the time.
I just be really nice or ignore most of the things now because I don't know how to talk. Apparently, Facebook's watching me.
You just get the ban hammer from Zuckerberg. But all right, let's jump into takeaways. I have 5. You have 5. Let's just get this over with and talk about some takeaways that we had from the game on Saturday.
Well, this is the first one on my list. Obviously, the most. What's up, Isaac? The most obvious thing. The number one thing that I took away from that game that everybody knows for the last, 14 years, special teams was absolutely horrible. You get a field goal blocked because Lancaster doesn't understand that you block down no matter what you block down. I remember that in high school. You get taught that in Pee Wee, like you block down, like that's just the name of the game. And then the block punt. I mean, we got rid of our long snapper in the middle of this season for a guy named Steven Wirtle. 6'4", 230 pounds. And 49ers were like, oh, you're going to put 230 in the middle. Okay, we're going to throw this 270-pound guy right here and see what happens. And he got absolutely owned, and that block punt legitimately won the game for the 49ers.
Yep.
That's my first one.
Yeah, my first takeaway was Maurice Drayton needs to go. Honestly, when they talked about the 2 coordinators last year, I was way more excited for Joe Barry, who I called the linebacker whisperer, which I think turned out to be a pretty true nickname, and Maurice Drayton, who just kind of been a journeyman, never really had a coordinator position, had a couple, had a handful of odd jobs here and there around different football jobs, but never really coordinator jobs. So the fact that a special teams coordinator has never been something the Packers have spent money on. Like Jake said, it seems like it's been a forever problem. It needs to be addressed. Like I know LaFleur said it after a couple of the games this year that they weren't going to make a change in season, but I would say at the near the top of the priority list, like if it's not Rodgers, Devontae, special teams, I don't know what else you would put above that for things that need to be taken care of as far as priorities go for the offseason.
Look at David's comment. I 100% agree with that. How is he not
Yeah.
already gone? I mean, I was at work on Monday talking to people, and I'm just like, I don't understand how he's not fired. You should have been fired in the press conference after the game.
That's what I was going to say. Like, he should not have left Lambeau Field with a job. Yeah, James, the block punt, it was up in the air. And I was, obviously you see everybody wondering where the ball is, and nobody knew where it was until it fell. But
I mean, he might, Isaac. You're not wrong. But moving on to my list, I think you're going to like number 5, by the way. It's a little spicy. My number 2 is the Packers finally have a defense. All those years of, our defense let us down, giving up 300 rushing yards, this, that, everything. They finally have a defense. We held the 49ers to 212 total yards. And oddly enough, you split it right down the middle for the rushing and the passing, 106 rushing, 106 passing. So, if you would have told me the Packers are going to hold the 49ers to just over 200 yards, I would have been like, hell yeah, we're going to the NFC Championship game. Little did we know, buddy, huh?
Yeah, and Pat, we don't know if that's a LaFleur decision. That might be coming down from Murphy and Gutekunst that they're not going to fire the special teams coordinator, and LaFleur is just the one to relay that in press conferences. When he says we aren't going to make that change, it might not be, LaFleur deciding that as the head coach. I would say also the GM and the owner could be the ones pulling that string too, even if LaFleur wanted to, which obviously LaFleur isn't going to come out and say, yeah, I want our special teams coordinator fired, but I don't think that's a 100% LaFleur decision. Jake, to add to your point about the defense, that is one of my takeaways as well. I want to give some credit to Eric Stokes. He came on kind of, I don't know, week 4-ish, 3 or 4, that he started to play basically every snap. He finished the season with 14 passes defensed.
Yeah, but
so that's pretty solid for a rookie. So if they come out with the all rookie teams, I would think you could maybe see Eric Stokes on some of those all rookie teams as far as cornerbacks are concerned. So
he was named to the all rookie team.
Look at that! I didn't even know that, so I'm still going to take credit for it. All right, hit me with another one.
All right, my number 3. And I know this, there's things that we're seeing. We're seeing receivers open and Rodgers not throwing to him, but that honestly comes down to trust. And, you saw Rodgers throwing the big dog, gained 0 yards, fumbled the ball. He threw 2 to Daphne, incompletions, and he threw 1 to
Guara,
and he dropped it when he was wide open. He probably could have ran for another 10, 15 yards. So for me, it's the Packers need a true number 2 wide receiver / tight end. We miss a tight end, and I know Tanya got hurt, and that really sucks. And now he's a free agent, and we're negative 40 in the cap, and we got to bring Rodgers and bring back Devontae, and we got to do this, and we got to do that, and we got Preston Smith and Za'Darius that are going to be 20 million cap hits. Like both of them are going to be at least 20 million. So we got something that our Preston might be like 19.5 or whatever. But the point being, we got some work to do, and it would really, really be nice for Rodgers to have a, top 15, top 10 tight end like we saw Tanyan last year. So Packers need to go out and get some playmakers. Yeah, Odell would have been awesome. I really think he would have been awesome in a Packers uniform, but we weren't aggressive enough, so it is what it is.
Yeah, and that's the thing with Odell is that's a pretty hindsight is 2020 situation where going into this, if you look at it before the issue, before Odell signed and is playing really well and he's catching touchdowns, if you look at it, what the Packers can see is this guy seems like he could be a locker room issue. He's having issues getting along with his teammates. He's become basically, if you want to say he's a diva, if people already don't like Aaron Rodgers for that reason, why would they want Odell here? So you take the low risk. Obviously, the cap is an issue, but taking a guy who is a risk, that's the Rams. That's their whole game plan right now is to risk. They literally bet their entire future until like 2030 on winning now. They have like no first round picks until like 2027 because they've bet it all on now. And they've done the same with Odell by giving him, a bigger contract than just a minimum. And that's something that the Packers weren't willing to do because you don't know what you're going to get with him. It's definitely a wild card. Obviously, it paid off for the Rams, but we have the benefit of hindsight. We know that. It's obviously a lot easier to say, yeah, they got this guy. He's playing amazing. The Packers should have got him. They would have gotten the same thing. But you don't know that until after the fact.
Yeah.
That's the same. Like, I'm going to give you an example. Is somebody in one of the football groups we're in, that was actually James, asked a player that you don't or you wish that wouldn't have played for your team. I gave the answer of Tony Mandarich. We've had this discussion before. Your dad said when he was coming into the draft that he was a can't-miss offensive line prospect. We have the benefit of hindsight in saying, man, if the Packers would have drafted Barry Sanders or Deion Sanders, like you said, what could have been? We have the benefit of hindsight, and the Odell Beckham Jr. situation is similar. We have the benefit of hindsight.
Yeah, that's fair. But winning usually fixes everything. He wasn't winning with the Browns. He wasn't getting targets with the Browns. Right. You go from Baker Mayfield to Aaron Rodgers. I mean, he went from Baker Mayfield to Matthew Stafford, and look at the guy. He looks like an all-pro now. He's balling, So,
right.
I don't know. I mean, it is what it is. Sit on it.
Let me ask you this: if Odell Beckham Jr. was having problems with his team, was let go, would you have signed Antonio Brown?
No, Antonio Brown's a totally different situation. Antonio Brown is causing problems on and off the field in the locker room. I mean, Odell's punching kicking nets. Is that really an issue? I mean, Rodgers is throwing down tablets. Brady's throwing down tablets. He's showing competitive fire. That is a totally different ballgame with Antonio Brown. Antonio Brown literally has, problems. I actually hope he gets help. He's now going to sue the Buccaneers. I don't know if you heard that the other day, but
I did not hear that.
Yeah,
he's a bit of a head case, but I mean, if you look at it just on the face value, seeing what the problems were with Odell, obviously Antonio Brown has problems. I agree that it's a different situation, but looking at it as this player is really talented, but he's got some issues.
Yeah, I mean, AB can ball. I won't never deny that. AB's balling. If you're gonna take a chance on a guy that can ball or not, I would take AB because you guarantee he's gonna get catches.
What about Josh Gordon? He got waived by Kansas City, and they're hoping that he clears waivers so they can sign him to his practice squad. What about Josh Gordon?
Nah, Josh Gordon's been in and out of football way too long. I mean, he's obviously too busy just smoking the reefer, dude. If you can't not smoke weed for 6 years. Secure the bag and then you can go smoke as much as you want. Look at freaking Ricky Williams, dude. That guy loves smoking weed. He stopped smoking weed. He was just like, yeah, let me get a couple mil real quick. And then he's just like, you know what? I'm just going to get out of here. I don't understand why they can't do that. That just makes no sense to me.
Yeah. But I mean, these are guys that are talented players, but they just have different sets of issues. And, the Packers just decided that they were going to give a minimum contract because it's a high risk. So they went with the lowest financial risk that they could, knowing that they have the situation that they have next year.
Right. I mean,
the Rams were able to get away from Jared Goff's contract. So, I mean, they had that going for them.
That's true. That is true.
So, two things you just talked about. One was Aaron Rodgers. His decision, I think he said, was going to be made by free agency. So that's that. My advice to Packers fans, don't try to figure out what he's going to do. Aaron Rodgers, he's a really cryptic person. Nobody knows what Aaron Rodgers is going to do until he does it. I think I saw that he said that he's going to announce his decision on the Pat McAfee show, if I'm not mistaken. I thought he said that's what he's going to do. So,
he did say that?
Don't try to figure out what he's going to do. Don't try to the whole Rodgers said that he's not going to stick with the Packers through a rebuild. If you see that quote and go, Rodgers isn't coming back to the Packers because he said that, that's not what that means. It just means that if the Packers decide to trade a bunch of people and cut people and let Devontae walk, that Rodgers is going to retire. All of that stuff needs to happen first. So it's just wasted energy trying to figure out what Aaron Rodgers is going to do, in my opinion, until he does it. I don't know if you agree with me on that.
Yeah, I mean, you hit the nail on the head when you say he's a cryptic person. Nobody knows what Aaron is thinking except Aaron. I mean, even people he has conversations with have no idea what he's going to do. The guy really just decides what's best for him. Don't listen to
never
ESPN
listen
or
to Skip Bayless. That's advice to take to the grave.
Yeah.
Don't ever listen to Skip Bayless. That's one of the reasons we do this show, so you don't have to.
And there's certain people on ESPN that I really try to avoid.
But Stan Orlovsky is getting there for me. He's kind of one of those guys that I'm starting to avoid just because, I don't know, he tries to make it seem like he knows what everybody does.
I thought he started out good. I liked him when he first started, but now he's starting to, like, he's getting too comfortable, I think. I don't know.
Colin Cowherd is definitely one of those guys. Like, don't listen to what he says.
Bro, he flips so much. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, he does. He's all over the place. Honestly, the only
one day he's like, Aaron Rodgers is the best quarterback ever. And then the next day he's like, Rodgers will never live up to Brady. He's barely top 10. I'm like, this guy, dude. What the heck?
He's all he has a show that makes top 10 lists, and that's what he does.
Yep. He is clickbait.
Yeah. And Skip Bayless is only gonna ever say the opposite of what Shannon Sharp says.
Yeah, for real. Hey, I was gonna say
he will take it to the farthest extremes.
Max Kellerman. Max Kellerman's the worst. He literally just said that Justin Herbert's better than the MVP. No.
Max I used to like Max Kellerman, but I don't know. I liked ESPN better when it was Sports Center, and you actually got to see all of the sports. Not here's 48 minutes of New York and LA, 8 minutes of Chicago, and then 4 minutes for literally everybody else.
Oh, good, Josh. Yeah, Max Kellerman's retarded.
Honestly, the only other ESPN whatever analyst I actually still agree with most of the time is Nick Wright.
Nick Wright's pretty good. I do like Greeny. Josh hit the nail on the head with that. I like Greeny. Bart's okay. I mean, we should make a who to not listen to list. I love that.
That's a good idea.
Time. We should do that.
Yeah, my list would be Skip Bayless. Boomer Esiason is a good one. My list would be Skip Bayless, Colin Cowherd, and then it would be Skip Bayless 3 more times.
Dude, Skip is the worst. He is the absolute worst.
You remember after the first Packers-Bears game when he tried to say that Aaron Rodgers barely outplayed Justin Fields? I raked him for that. Remember? Oh, my God, dude. He was crying in all caps on Twitter after the Cowboys lost to the 49ers. He was blaming the refs for that. It's like, no, that's the center's fault for not handing the ball to the ref. He's like, the ref bumped into Dak Prescott. It's like, well, the ref needs to touch the ball. Dak Prescott should have got out of the way.
Hey, James stole my thought process. I was going to say, hey, if you watch the Colin Cowherd show, you got to look at Joy Taylor, though. So there's that. You got that going for you.
All right. So Jake's other takeaway was addressing a number 2 pass catcher. Yes, Robert Tonyan would have been very helpful to have in this game, but unfortunately they didn't have him. Rodgers went to Lazard one time, 1 catch, 6 yards, and it was a 3rd down conversion. I don't know why he didn't try to look to Lazard more, especially with how well he was playing late in the season. I don't know. I don't know why Lazard didn't get more targets. I know Aaron Jones is part of that. Like, Aaron Jones had a huge game in the passing game, but
he should have scored, bro, on that one pass at the end of the first half.
Yeah, I agree.
He was literally even with the guy. Like, Jones, just run. And if you and run next to the sideline. So if you run all the way down, you can run out of bounds, and then we get closer.
If he tackles you, he's going to push you out.
Exactly. I mean,
yeah.
I don't know what happened on that play. He really should have scored on that play, though.
We got a comment here saying, since the division is in a total rebuild, I think it's time to join them, trade A-Rod to get picks, lock up Alexander and Gary.
Well, I am not on board with that, and we are going to have an Aaron Rodgers PSA after we finish our last 2 points.
Yeah.
So hold on to that comment for a second.
Jake, give one of yours, and I have one more after you give yours. So
okay, so I have 2 more yet.
Yep.
My 4th one is, I think this last game, I know he got a sack in the beginnings at Arias, But I think we found out this year that Preston Smith is the better of the Smith brothers. That's just my personal opinion. He ended this game with 9 total tackles, 6 solo, and he is so dang good at setting the edge on the run and forcing everything back inside. There was a play where Zadarius was in for Preston on that right side of the line, and he got absolutely bombarded and ran over. I was like, oh, yeah, Zadarius, that's not $25 million of effort. Get the heck out of here.
The way that I would frame that is that Preston Smith is a more complete linebacker. I would say that Zadarius is the better pass rusher, but Preston Smith is better at everything else.
Yep. My last point in this one, because I have 2 points in this one, Rashawn Gary is an absolute star.
Dude, he's a monster.
Star. Absolute star. He has everything we need in a pass rusher. Zadarius is now easily let go. We can move on from Zadarius. We still have that star pass rusher. We bring Preston back. Maybe he takes a pay cut for us and is nice, and we can still have our edge setters. There's a potential here to keep this defense intact, and the way that it looked in this divisional game, it makes me very confident.
That's a really good thing. Rashawn Gary. This season he became what he was drafted as. So, I saw a tweet saying, if you look at the first round picks that Goody has made, like Jair, Rashawn Gary, Darnell Savage, Eric Stokes, but people are still hung up on the Jordan Love pick.
Yep.
We don't even know what Jordan Love is yet.
Exactly, man.
To even complain about it. And you're still going to complain that Jordan Love was drafted when Gutekunst has hit on 4 of his last 5 first-round picks?
I mean, think about it. What if we trade him away and he turns into Matthew Hasselbeck? That's not a bad career. The guy played like 17, 18 years. He won a Super Bowl.
You look at the Packers had a bunch of guys that ended up having successful NFL careers.
Kurt Warner was on our practice squad.
I'm pretty sure Tim Couch was on the Packers at one point. I know Aaron Brooks was on the Packers at one point. He went to the Saints for a while. There's James to give a Saints shout out. So James threw in a comment here, and then I'll give my last takeaway. Said that if Matt Stafford wins the Super Bowl and Super Bowl MVP, that he's better all time than Aaron Rodgers. And that is probably one of the dumbest things that I've ever heard, because the only things that he would have is he's equal to Rodgers in MVPs and Super Bowl MVPs. Rodgers is going to win his 4th MVP this year, has like the top 7 touchdown to interception ratio seasons of all time, and Stafford has yards.
Here's the problem with social media.
Because he threw the ball because he was losing his entire career.
Here's the problem with social media. Today in the world has become such a "what have you done for me lately?" Right? So when Rodgers loses and they see Matthew Stafford beat a 44-year-old, almost 45-year-old Tom Brady, the world starts freaking out. Oh my God, is Matthew Stafford better than Aaron Rodgers? No, he is not. Brady. He is not better than Aaron Rodgers. Okay, I'm sorry. And me and you were on that post where people there was a post in another group, and they were like, "Is Aaron Rodgers a top 3 or top 5 quarterback of all time?" Everybody's saying no because they just saw him lose. Dude, yes, he is.
Yes, he is.
He's a top 5. No matter what team you cheer for, he is easily top 5. I'm sorry that you don't like him.
You could make the argument for top 3, but he's definitely top 5.
You could easily make an argument for top 3, and I liked your argument. Maybe Manning over him.
I could see taking Peyton Manning over him.
I could see that too. To be honest with you, but if you could draft all the quarterbacks, right? Like say NFL has every player available, you could draft any quarterback in their prime. I'm taking Aaron Rodgers, dude. Are you kidding me? Like the talent that this guy has is ridiculous.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I mean, put Rodgers in that position, dude. He's gonna go crazy with the Rams. Crazy,
dude. I would love to see Robert Woods end up on the Packers. That would be like a dream scenario for me.
There's our number 2 wide receiver.
That would be that would be awesome. The Packers.
There's a number 2 wide receiver.
Oh, that would be so sick. Like,
I think Breeze is higher all time.
That's a good one. I'd actually have to look into that. Tell you what, James, next week, the show is next week, Thursday. I will, you know what? I'm going to put that in my notes. I'll dive into that a little bit.
James, off the top of my head, not trying to be a hater. I'm just going to give, like, right off the top of my head, I'm going to give you an answer. I would say no, just based off of regular season MVPs. They have the same amount of Super Bowls.
Yep.
Favre played in 2 of them.
Favre went to
Breeze
2,
won.
Yep.
I mean, you could take it's the same thing with Rodgers where Breeze had so many bad defenses and he had to throw the ball so much to get all those yards. Same thing with Rodgers to carry
Stafford.
us. Yep. Where Brett Favre had a lot of really good defenses in those 90s years, man. He had a lot of weapons and he had a lot of good wide receivers. I'm not saying Breeze or Rodgers didn't, but that's tough. That's a good debate. I got
it in my notes for next week, so I'll look into that a little more.
I might take Breeze in his prime over Favre. I'll be honest. He was accurate.
I was gonna say if you had to say you're going to play, say, an NFC Championship game and you can pick Brett Favre or Drew Brees, like I feel like I'd take Brett Favre just because I feel that, and this might be just kind of a recency bias thing. I felt like later in his career, like Drew Brees lost a lot of arm strength.
Yeah.
So, if I need a guy to go win me one game, I think I might take Brett Favre. But I will look into that and get a more educated answer for you next week.
Yeah. That's a good one.
My last takeaway was that the Packers can build on their O-line. That being said, get rid of both of the tackles. They got manhandled, both of them. Billy Turner and Dennis Kelly both destroyed. Both of them. I want both of them gone. Honestly, the way that it looked, I would like Elton Jenkins playing right tackle next year and David Bakhtiari playing left tackle. That's how I feel. I just want reliable tackles. Rodgers was under pressure on 35% of his dropbacks.
That's terrible, dude.
And people wonder why he only targeted Devontae.
Yeah, you got to get rid of the damn ball so fast.
35% of plays he was under pressure. It's the same thing that happened in the Tampa Bay game. Billy Turner, this is back-to-back playoff losses that Billy Turner got absolutely worked.
He better be gone, dude. I'm so sick.
He better be cut because he's making $9 million next year, and if we cut him, we save like $4.8 million.
Yeah,
so
give him my $4 million.
Absolutely on the chopping. Yeah, Billy Turner is absolutely on the chopping block. David Bakhtiari will absolutely be back because his cap hit is bigger than his actual salary. So Bakhtiari will be back. He's a guy that I'm looking for to see the Packers go say, hey, we're trying to keep this team intact. Are you willing to restructure, convert some of the salary into signing bonus, something like that? So Bakhtiari is a guy that I'm looking for to restructure. The last thing I want to say about Aaron Rodgers is actually, you know what? We're doing a different thing for Aaron Rodgers. So I will save that for that.
Right,
do you want to do top five?
Here's my last takeaway first. Here's my last takeaway.
Okay.
My last takeaway, this is going to sound crazy, but do we think that Matt LaFleur is actually a good head coach, or is he just a really good offensive coordinator? Because last year he takes the ball out of Aaron Rodgers' hands. He abandons the run. You know, you have that freaking MVP. Everybody knew Rodgers was an MVP last year, just like this year. You take the ball out of his hands for a chance to go to the Super Bowl, last drive of the year, and you take the ball out of his hands. This year, it didn't seem like the play calling was that good. I mean, A.J. Dillon got hurt, so that sucked. That definitely hurt stuff. But we really needed to just ride Aaron Jones. Just absolutely ride Aaron Jones. There's a reason that you're not giving him all the snaps in the season because you're saving him for this moment, right?
Mm-hmm.
You only get this moment one time. So why not just let it ride? Now, I'm not saying we need to fire the guy. I'm not going that far. But if he doesn't fix his special teams and he loses Aaron Rodgers and Devontae, we're going to find a whole hell of a lot out about Matt LaFleur.
Yeah. So
he better get his special teams right because, to be completely honest, I thought they were lazy as shit. Just hiring in-house. They're just like, you know what? Drayton's been here. He works hard. He's a nice guy. I don't give a shit if you're a nice guy, okay?
I'd rather have a dick.
Dude.
Like Joe Barry, when we saw Joe Barry at practice, he's walking up and down, he's like swearing and stuff. Like, that's the guy.
His asses up, man. I'm ready to light somebody's ass up. I am so sick and tired of sitting in my goddamn living room watching us lose a freaking playoff game to the 49ers. because the damn special teams can't punt or kick the damn ball. Why the hell do we have freaking McDuffie and freaking Lancaster blocking? That makes no sense. That makes no sense to me.
Dude, I mean, we gave up 31 points to the Bears.
The Bears.
Special teams.
We almost lost to the Bengals earlier this year because of special teams. We almost lost to the Bears. I mean, we're giving field position at midfield
because of special teams partially. Like,
I'm sick of it. I'm so sick.
Yeah,
the special teams better be fixed.
Yeah, I'd like to see LaFleur just walk into Gutekunst's office with a clipboard, slam it down on the desk, and say, "Give me a better special teams coordinator."
I'm pissed off about the damn special teams. I'm so sick of it being a problem. We never get good kick returns.
Literally cost us a game.
Dude, it costs us games all the time. It's ridiculous. Like,
well, it cost us the rest of the season.
It did. And Rodgers finally gets a defense, and then everybody wants to blame Rodgers, and they're kind of using Rodgers as a scapegoat when LaFleur should be taking more heat than he's taking, in my personal opinion. I think LaFleur needs more heat because I said this about McCarthy too, right? Because the last couple of years of McCarthy, the defense was just bad. I'm like, how are you the head coach? Like, you're the head coach, right? You're supposed to be in control of the offense, the defense, especially the whole damn thing, right? Like, you're the boss. This is your company. You take care of every single thing, right? How was one area always bad? I mean, and special teams was bad with McCarthy too. So how are you the head coach? And none of it's not a whole picture. Dude, today is the 25-year anniversary of Super Bowl 31. You know how important special teams was at Super Bowl 31? The Packers don't win that damn Super Bowl without the special teams.
Well, Desmond Howard won the Super Bowl MVP.
Yeah. We don't win the Super Bowl without special teams. You need all three phases.
That's this one right here. Right here. That's this one.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just sick of special teams being bad. We finally got a defense. Rodgers should be able to have a game where he can dink and dunk and we run the ball and we win just like that. Look at the Cardinals game. We won basically doing that, and the defense played great. He should be able to have a game like that, and we can survive in advance. You have to win ugly sometimes. You're not going to win 38-10 all the time. So Rodgers isn't going to throw for 5 touchdowns every time. It's frustrating, man.
Do you want to transition this into the Aaron Rodgers discussion?
Yeah, let's talk Rodgers. I'm heated up now. Let's talk Rodgers.
All right. Do you want me to go first, or do you want to go?
You go first. You go first. I'm gonna go off you. So I'm ready when you.
All right. So obviously, there's a couple different scenarios here, and there's basically 3. It's either Aaron Rodgers is back, he's traded, or he retires. Those are really the only 3 things. It's not up to Aaron Rodgers to decide I'm signing with the Buccaneers because Tom Brady retired. That's not up to Rodgers. He's under contract. Mm-hmm. So he's either traded, comes back, or retires. Mm-hmm. Personally, I want to see Aaron Rodgers back because I believe he gives us the best chance to win a Super Bowl. I don't really see any trade situation where I think that's a good deal to get for an MVP player. Say what you want to say about his playoff record. He's still, I would say, the most talented thrower of the football in the NFL. And just 2 things. I just want to see 2 things from Aaron Rodgers when he comes back.
Yep.
1, I want to see him take a pay cut. He constantly talks about legacy, and he knows that he's chasing Tom Brady. Mm-hmm. Because, like we said, you can argue that he's the second best quarterback ever behind Tom Brady based on, just X's and O's here and there. Right. And if you want to get into MVPs and rings, whatever, you can divide that up however you want to, quantify how those things rate. But taking a pay cut is something that Brady has done probably the last, 15 years. And it allowed the Patriots to build around him, to sign free agents, to retain free agents. That's something I want to see Rodgers do if he wants to become to a point where he can say that he's the GOAT past Tom Brady. I already think he's the best football player of all time, but to be considered the greatest, the most accomplished, that's a next step maturity thing for Rodgers, is to take a pay cut. It's for a guy that still makes a lot of money, as far as endorsements and stuff are concerned. I don't really think he needs to make $35-40 million a year.
I mean, he's already done it for how long?
Take 20, take 25. Give your team 10 or 15 or $20 million back and see what they can do with it. See if they can't go get a wide receiver. Jake and I guarantee you, Jake and I will do like a free agent wish list. Obviously, things will have to happen before we can make these wish lists.
Yep.
Some of the guys that are going to be on our lists are going to be unattainable for salary reasons, no matter how good the fit is. That'll be the case with offensive line positions and such like that. But we'll see what happens with that. But Aaron Rodgers doesn't need the money. He doesn't need to make $40 million a year. He can make $20 million a year and he'll be just fine. Yep. So that's something I want to see Rodgers do from a maturity standpoint, is take a pay cut. The second thing I want to see Aaron Rodgers do is to trust the system more, because it hadn't really been done a whole lot with the West Coast offense, where, there's all the pre-snap motion and the run-pass balance with an elite quarterback. That was a system that was designed to make average quarterbacks look good, not take an elite quarterback and make him back-to-back MVP. So this thought dawned on me while watching the end of the Bills and Chiefs. The Bills and Chiefs game had 25 points scored in the last minute and 54 seconds.
Yeah.
Gabriel Davis scored 4 touchdowns for the Bills. You know how many touchdowns Stephon Diggs had?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know how many catches he had?
Yep.
1 catch.
Yep.
And Josh Allen was absolutely balling.
He was, dude. He's a stud.
So that offense just marched down the field 3 times. They marched down. And obviously overtime situation didn't go their way. Just trust the system. Like the fact that Rodgers, like this is the one decision-making thing that I question with Rodgers is at times he had some guys open, but he held the ball a little bit longer to try to get a bigger play.
Mm-hmm.
He tried to hit the deeper pass, instead of just taking what the defense was giving him. And that's what Jake was talking about with the Arizona game. They dinked and dunked their way down the field. And the first drive was beautiful. They went straight down and scored.
Yep. Oh, dude, I was feeling good, man.
I know. They went and scored on their first drive after 7 minutes. They had a 7-minute drive, and it's okay, the route is on. If we go and march down like that, the second drive was marching down like that too, and then they had the fumble. So it's all right, that's a bummer. They were marching again, but a guy like Alan Lazard, who had shown that he's got strong hands and he's made contested catches, just run some slants, pick up 8 yards. You don't need to go for 22 every play.
Yeah, we didn't need big giant chunk plays the entire game.
And the fact that Randall Cobb was back and had 1 target. Looked like it was a forced target too. It threw it at his feet. The guy that Rodgers wanted on his team, he got him back for the playoff game, and was targeted 1 time.
Yeah,
that's the 2 things that I have to say about Aaron Rodgers is I want him to take a pay cut, and I want him to play a little more within the system, and a little less Aaron Rodgers' system.
Okay, so. The first thing I'm going to say is you don't trade the MVP. You don't trade the MVP. That's so stupid. How do you sit there and be like, you know what? I'm sick of losing in the playoffs. We should trade Aaron Rodgers. Okay, you know what I got to say to you? You can't handle losing in the playoffs, then you don't deserve to celebrate winning with us. That's exactly how I feel about that. If you know the facts, right? You know the facts. We're going to make the playoffs. We got Aaron Rodgers. We're guaranteed in the playoffs. We're going to run this division. We're going to win 10, 11, 12, probably 13 games like we have the last 3 years, and we're going to be putting big spots. Okay? Now, a lot of times when we're putting big spots, the defense lets us down. Think Arizona in 2015. Special teams lets us down. This year the special teams let us down. 14, the special teams let us down. I mean, the offense got kind of stagnant in 14 too. There's a lot of takeaways you could take from that, but that's not all on Rodgers. That was McCarthy, in my opinion. So 14 special teams let you down. 15, the defense let you down. 16, Rodgers carried us to the NFC Championship game. Ladarius Gunter went from guarding Odell Beckham Jr., who was considered a top 5 wide receiver at that time, and he guarded Julio Jones. I forgot who we played in the second round. We played Dallas. Forgot who they had, but had a crazy. He said it was cold as fuck. Hey, Niners gang, what's up, buddy? Good game, man. You were at the game. That was pretty sick. I got offered tickets. Thank God I didn't go. I would have been cold, sad, and depressed at work on Sunday morning. But anyways, Aaron Rodgers has carried us. I mean, 17, 18, 19. I mean, 2020, he carries us. The defense gives up 28 points in the first half. The defense, comes back, gets some interceptions. But, I mean, there was a drop 2-point conversion by EQ. Lazard on a 2nd and goal on that drive where LaFleur took the ball out of Rodgers' hands. They run an RPO, and Lazard doesn't read the play like Rodgers does, and Rodgers throws the ball, and he's not looking for the ball. It would have been an easy walk-in touchdown. Would have won the game. We would have been talking about how Allen Lazard is a freaking hero and a legend in Green Bay if he catches that pass. But instead, nobody brings that up. Everybody brings up how they kicked the field goal and how the defense couldn't get the stop and we didn't get the flags. It's like, we're not trading Aaron Rodgers, okay?
Yep.
People need to stop living in the moment and take in the totality of his entire career, because this guy has literally carried us for how long? I mean, back in 2014, he had one damn leg, and that guy was carrying us to the NFC Championship game.
That's one of those things where it's like, Brett Favre had heart. I love Aaron Rodgers, but Brett Favre had heart. As if Aaron Rodgers didn't try to come back early from a collarbone injury to try to get us in the playoffs against Carolina in what was it, 2016?
15. Or like when he came back from the collarbone and won us the division in Chicago. Like, he doesn't care. The guy doesn't care.
No
he doesn't
heart.
like winning.
Yeah, no heart. His dad didn't die in the middle of a season, so he doesn't have any heart.
I mean, listen, Rodgers had a stinker, and I really personally don't think he played that bad, to be honest with you. He didn't play that bad. He didn't lose the game.
It was an average game.
It was
Aaron
average.
Rodgers played an average football game. Obviously, we have super high expectations for Aaron Rodgers, but I mean, just the fact of everything that happened in this game, the Packers still should not have lost the game. That being said, Jimmy G had a bad game, and his team still won because they did enough things to win. They blocked a field goal. They saved themselves 3 points there. They scored a special teams touchdown. That's a 10-point swing there with special teams. That is a 10-point swing in a game that was decided by 3.
This is a 49ers fan. His best option is Green Bay. Okay, look. The power of the NFL with all the quarterbacks is automatically just flipped over to the AFC, right? Think of all the young good quarterbacks. Mahomes is leading the way. Herbert. I mean, Carr's Josh Allen. I mean, you got Burrow. I mean, there's just a bazillion good young
Lamar Jackson
quarterbacks over there.
is in the AFC.
Josh Allen. I mean, it was going to happen at some point. But Aaron Rodgers' best option is in Green Bay. All the good quarterbacks are leaving. This is a Niners fans smarter than Packers fans. I don't understand why you guys want to get rid of him. It makes no sense to me. It just makes no sense. You come back down 20. The Bears are injured. Like, yeah, dude. I mean,
the main things or the main teams that I'm seeing that would be options for Rodgers is probably the Broncos. Like, I've seen the Steelers floated as an option. The Raiders,
Saints.
maybe Saints. The Saints have their own cap issues that are honestly worse than the Packers. Not by a lot, but they're still worse than the Packers. Not to mention, the injuries. That
Cody told me they're negative $80 million.
Yeah, the Packers are what, like 46?
43, I think.
43. Okay, so obviously, like, the Saints are in a bigger cap hell than the Packers are.
Yeah.
That being said,
Jimmy's
Jimmy's going. Whatever happens, his money's going to Debo. Yeah, Debo's getting paid. I mean, you might as well just have Debo play quarterback.
He does everything else. Oh my God!
I like Trey Lance, so we'll see what happens with that. But
I forgot to bring this up. when I was talking about the floor. Kyle Shanahan was smart enough to see that the kickoffs were only going to the 5. So you know what he did at halftime? He put his best playmaker on kick return so they could start at midfield. What did LaFleur do? Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Yep. Yeah, that's a good point.
That pissed me off when I saw that.
So the other two options are the Steelers, who have a horrible offensive line. Absolutely horrible offensive line. and overall a worse defense. They have the defensive player of the year, TJ Watt, and they have a couple other decent defensive pieces. Like their defensive line is all right.
Cam Hayward, yeah.
Yeah, their secondary it's a little bit leaky. So overall, I would say their defense is worse than the Packers. I would say the same thing for the Broncos. They have a couple of playmakers on their defense, but overall, I would say it's worse than the Packers, especially if you watch the game that they just played. It's overall worse than the Packers defense. The Broncos also, I would say, don't have as good of an offensive line. Like the Broncos offensive line is better than the Steelers, but then again, I would say 29 out of 32 teams have a better offensive line than the Steelers. And then looking at wide receivers, like sure, the Steelers have a really good trio of wide receivers. The Saints have one wide receiver. That's if he's healthy.
Mm-hmm.
And the Broncos have some talent at wide receiver. Jake and I actually, when we were doing trade deadline stuff, talked about maybe acquiring one of their wide receivers because they've been paying, they've been paying some of those guys. So maybe that'll turn out to be an option. I don't know. But then looking at running games, like Najee Harris looks pretty good. Alvin Kamara looks pretty good. But again, those two teams have their own issues. And then you're looking at Melvin Gordon, Javonte Williams. That's decent, but none of those backfields are Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon.
No.
So when the comment is made that his best option is Green Bay, I strongly agree.
Why would he go anywhere else?
Especially the AFC.
The AFC West, to be completely honest.
That's what I said last year before, like on draft day when they're like, "Oh, Aaron Rodgers to the Broncos is a done deal." Like, why would he want to play the Chiefs, the Chargers, and the Raiders twice a year?
And the Raiders are not bad, to be honest with you. The Raiders are putting something together.
They were a win.
They made the playoffs.
The Chargers, yeah, they were, in the playoffs.
And the Chargers are right there.
That team was a mid-season meltdown away from actually being a really good team.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, they had two huge issues in the middle of their season. Obviously, the head coach and then the Henry Ruggs thing. So two huge issues in the middle of their season still made the playoffs.
Yep.
What's up, Todd? Said go Pack, go.
Go back home. He's a Bears fan, so.
Do you have anything else you want to say about Aaron Rodgers before we wrap up the season with some enjoyable stuff?
Rodgers, I don't know if you'll ever see this. I'm going to look into the camera. Rodgers, I don't know if you'll ever see this. I speak for all of the Packers fans with a brain. We still love you, and we want you back in green and gold. There are a lot of dummies out there, and I know that you see what they're saying, but they do not speak for the ones with a brain. Please come back. That's what I'll say.
All right, so we're going to end the 2021 season of the Packers discussion on a happier note. We're going to talk top 5 moments of the season, kind of break it up by some games, some players, some moments from games, and then we're going to move on to 2022, and it's going to be draft prep, free agency, and maybe some news. We'll probably end up talking about the guys that the Packers are signing to futures deals right now, but right now that's not huge news. So that being said, let's do top 5 moments of the season. You want me to go first, or you want to go first?
You go first.
All right. My number 5 moment of the season was Aaron Jones' 4-touchdown game against the Lions in week 2. Aaron Jones was just the man that day. 4 touchdowns, 3 of them were receiving touchdowns. And Aaron Jones was just the man that day. And it was a good bounce back game after the Saints lost. People are like, "Oh no, is Aaron Rodgers losing on purpose? Oh no, are the Packers done?" Like, what? It was a good bounce back game to win over the Lions, and Aaron Jones had 4 touchdowns. So that was my number 5 moment.
And the moment he had with his dad, where he showed the necklace, that was cool too.
Yeah.
My number 5. My list is freaking deep, man. So my number 5 is pretty crazy. My number 5 is the Packers going into Arizona on a short week with 11 starters, including our 3 top wide receivers, and absolutely stealing a win. The Rasul Douglas come out party. I mean, he was on their team. He beats them at the end of the game in this one. And that was really the collapse of the Cardinals, really.
Yeah.
If you think about it.
Yeah.
So the Packers going into Arizona, that was an awesome feeling. I remember watching that game, just being like, all right, man, let's keep it close. We have a chance. We have Aaron Rodgers. Everybody's like, oh, we're gonna lose. I'm like, we have Aaron freaking Rodgers, bro. Like, we have Aaron Rodgers. Like, let's go. We got a chance. Let's play some defense. Let's see what happens. And we go in and we win, man. That was an awesome, awesome feeling.
All right. Well, that was my number 4. So beating the Cardinals in Arizona without Devontae, Lazard, and MVS. That was my number 4 moment. That was, it was like, oh no, the Cardinals are marching. They're going to score and they're going to win. And then Rasul Douglas makes a one-handed interception to seal the win in Arizona. And that's going to tie into my number 3 moment as well. So I will let you give your number 4.
Okay, my number 4 is the Bengals versus Packers game. That game was awesome. I mean, it was the first game of franchise history with 300 passing yards, 200-yard receiver, and a 100-yard rusher. Yep. That was absolutely insane. I mean, Jones broke off that big one. Devontae was the man all day, and Aaron Rodgers was Aaron Rodgers. So, I mean, that game was fun to watch. The craziness at the end just added to that. I mean, all the missed field goals. Yep. It was stressful. So, the Bengals, obviously, winning that game, obviously they're in the AFC Championship game now, so that was a good win for us.
Yep. Yeah, and, Jamar Chase is Jamar Chase, and he's a monster. Yeah. But he only really had, one big play. Against the Packers. And that was this close. Yeah, he was. And that's an effort play. So I don't fault Savage for going for the ball on that. That's an effort play. You don't fault effort. So, my number 3 was sweeping 2 of the toughest divisions in football. So I said the Arizona game was going to tie into my number 3, and that's sweeping the NFC West and the AFC North. Honestly, it could have been 6 playoff teams among these 2 divisions with as good as these divisions were. Yeah. Jake already mentioned the Bengals game. They're in the AFC Championship. I mean, the Ravens, if Lamar Jackson doesn't go down, he might be the MVP this year, the way that he was playing early in the season. The Steelers almost ended up making the playoffs, even though they tied with the Lions earlier in the year, and they have a horrible offensive line.
The Steelers did make the playoffs. They lost to the Chiefs, dude.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Nobody
remembers because they got swamped.
Yeah, and the Chargers were right on the bubble.
Brink.
Like if the Raiders and Chargers had knelt the whole game, they would have been in, and the Steelers would have been out.
Yep.
And then the Browns. That was a tough game. I mean, they picked off Baker Mayfield 4 times. The year before had 22-8 or something like that, or 26-6. So Baker Mayfield had a solid 2020 and a bad 2021, and the Packers picked him off 4 times in that game. But I mean, you can cry refs if you want at the end of that game, whatever. The Packers won. And then the NFC West, that division had 3 playoff teams.
Sure did.
Seattle. So the Packers beat 3 playoff teams from that division, obviously 2 of them on the road, and then shut out Seattle. That is a team with a solid offense, at least in the passing game.
Mm-hmm.
When you look at, if you talk about wide receiver duos in the NFL, Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf are a really good wide receiver duo. And then Russell Wilson he's still an elite quarterback. I don't know that I'd say he's top 5, but he's top 10 in the NFL.
Oh, yeah, easy.
And the Packers shut them out.
Yeah, that was a crazy game.
I'm pretty sure that DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett only had 2 receptions each in that game.
I don't remember. We could go back in our notes.
I think it was a combined 46 yards between them. So the Packers shutting out Seattle and sweeping 3 other playoff teams from the NFC West was definitely a highlight. So sweeping those 2 divisions was my number 3 moment of the season.
All right, my number 3 was the Packers clinching the North and the number 1 seed on Sunday Night Football against the Vikings in a rout. We beat them 37-10, so that was awesome to smash the Vikings fans. And in that game, with doing that, they held Dalvin Cook to 9 carries for 13 yards. So awesome to shut up the Vikings fans.
Sean Mannion was the leading rusher in that game.
14 yards. And you remember their center picked up that fumble, and he ran for 21 yards. And that is hilarious that their punter had 8 more yards than their star running back. So that was hilarious to me. I love that.
All right, my number 2, I'm just gonna personally just pat myself on the back, toot my own horn, puff my chest here. My number 2 is Joe Barry a.k.a. the linebacker whisperer.
Mm-hmm.
I called him the linebacker whisperer when we did back last February when the Packers hired him. I said, this man is a linebacker whisperer.
Mm-hmm.
He was on the 2001 Tampa Bay Buccaneers coaching staff that had all pro linebackers on it. He took Corey Littleton from an undrafted free agent to a Pro Bowler when he was with the Rams. And this year, he took Devondre Campbell from a free agent that nobody else wanted to first team All Pro. Not to mention the Rashawn Gary breakout season.
Yeah.
Not to mention Preston Smith, who had 9 sacks this year.
The resurgence season. Yeah.
Rashawn Gary had 9.5 sacks this season.
Stud. He's a monster.
And Devondre Campbell, first team All Pro, had 145 tackles this season.
And let's be honest, Barnes had games where, early on he wasn't playing a lot, and then as the season went on, he just kept getting better and better. He thumped Deebo Samuel really good and actually made him leave the game for a little bit. But
he did, that was
Barnes looked very good towards the end of the season. He had some really good games. Chiefs game, the Vikings game. I mean, this 49ers game, he was good. There's a lot of games that stick out where I can be like, Barnes was pretty good this year.
And, as far as the rest of the defense is concerned, winning games without Jair Alexander and Zadarius Smith.
Yeah.
Kenny Clark is Kenny Clark, but how about the bounce back season by Dean Lowry?
Yeah.
Eric Stokes being a rookie and looking like he is NFL ready, grabbing Rasul Douglas off of practice squads and him stepping up.
He's coming back.
More from Rasul Douglas from me later. But, I mean, this defense, especially in that 49ers game, they gave up 6 points.
Yeah. No,
they
3.
They gave up 6. Well,
they did give up 6.
Two field goals. They gave up 6 points. Like, we've looked at Aaron Rodgers. You see, gave up 41, gave up 51, gave up 45, gave up 31. 6. Gave up 6 points. And like I said, I dubbed Joe Barry the linebacker whisperer. We had some damn good linebackers this year, which is something we haven't been able to say in a long time.
Packers front seven was very good.
Devondre Campbell, the first team All-Pro, is the first since 1966 when Ray Nitschke did it.
That's insane.
That's insane. That's me puffing my chest, tooting my own horn for calling Joe Barry the linebacker whisperer, and that's my number 2 moment.
My number 2 moment is being blessed enough to go to watch back-to-back games at Lambeau. I saw the Bears and the Rams, and then in those games, seeing back-to-back pick sixes by Rasul Douglas. That was freaking awesome, dude. The Rams one was a little different because that one kind of put the game away. That was kind of like the nail in the coffin.
Mm.
The Bears one was awesome because, I'm just in a sea of Bears fans. I'm kind of up there in the nosebleeds a little bit. And I'm in a sea of Bears fans, and they're all talking, having a great time. And Rasul Douglas picks it off and takes it to the house, and he feels ankles on the way there. And I'm like, that was fucking awesome. I'm screaming, let's go! Just the adrenaline rush I had during that was just amazing.
My number 1 moment of the season was just one player. It's Rasul Douglas.
Okay.
Being in a situation where we lose the best cornerback in the league, and we pick up a guy that's been on practice squads for the last 2 years, and it's Rasul Douglas. And you hear good things. He's been working hard. He's been trying to get back onto an NFL roster, and then he just lights the world on fire by being super awesome and getting 5 interceptions. Obviously, Jake mentioned the back-to-back pick sixes. He won the Cardinals game, so he got his revenge on the practice squad team. He won the Cardinals game.
Yep.
And I shared a quote from Joe Barry about Rasul Douglas, being a guy who's staying late after practice and studying plays and film. And I am fully 100% committed to Rasul Douglas and letting Kevin King and potentially Chandon Sullivan walk. And Rasul Douglas being back on this team, and the Packers having a really good trio of cornerbacks next season.
And the 2 safeties. I mean, the back end looks really good right now. My number 1 moment, and it's going to take a lot. Like, I'm going to be honest. It's going to take a lot for this to get misplaced in my brain. The I own you in Chicago. The amount of, I don't know many views that video has, but I've easily watched it 1,000 times on my TV in the living room. I turn the volume up to 100, and you just hear Rogers go, "I own you! Oh my fucking life, I own you!" And I just get chills every time. I just got a little bit of chills right now. But that moment, every time I think about, I could put myself mentally, like sitting on my couch, watching Rogers run, and then watching him just talk shit to the entire city of Chicago. I will never be over that. That was absolutely amazing.
That's good stuff.
I loved that moment. I'm serious. That might be my favorite Packer moment of all time. That was fucking awesome, dude. to put it plain and simple.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
Yeah. All right, man.
All right. Well, let us know yours. We're going to share this, and we'll put our top fives, and we'll let people add to it if they want to add to it, and let us know theirs. Our buddy Cody sent us some, so we can throw those in with the comments and stuff, and you can let us know yours. So real quick before we switch to basketball, I just want to throw it out there that 24 days ago, me specifically, proposed that the Badgers make a play for Caleb Williams, and now that's apparently a strong possibility. I just want to throw it out there that I said it first. I just want to throw that out there. I just want to put that out there.
I mean,
I said it.
We're gonna be coming out with a new segment here pretty soon, and I would say that me and you kind of fall in that category. I'm just saying, bro.
Hey, all right.
I'm just saying, bro. We be doing some shit.
So Caleb Williams is looking at 3 teams supposedly. He's looking at Wisconsin, USC, and LSU. For me, I personally don't see USC happening because the quarterback that Caleb Williams took over for at Oklahoma, he already transferred to USC. So he'd be competing with the same quarterback he was competing with last season, who's already obviously been a starting caliber quarterback, and that's where Lincoln Riley went. So that quarterback already followed to USC. So I don't see that as an option, as strong of an option, at least, given the fact that he'd have to go and compete with a starting job, whereas the other 2 being Wisconsin and LSU, the moment that he shows up, he's the starter.
But why would you want to go to LSU? Think of the gauntlet you have to go through, man.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously. And Brian Kelly always folds in big games anyways.
Yeah, I did see that the Big Ten is considering doing away with the divisions. So the East and West wouldn't be a thing anymore. I haven't read anything about it yet because they're in really, really early discussions with it, and it wouldn't be in effect until 2023. So I haven't dug into that a ton yet. But that being said, he could get an Ohio State matchup or a Michigan matchup a little more often that way.
You know why they want that? Because
they want the Badgers playing Michigan and Ohio State.
Well,
and not Iowa and Purdue.
And they want Michigan and Ohio State in the Big Ten championship game. That's what they really want because Michigan finally got over the hump, and they're probably going to be getting a lot of recruits now. So that's really what it's about. And
so
money.
The Wisconsin Badgers posted an offensive coordinator position, so that is an open position. So Paul Chryst will not be the offensive coordinator in 2022. So that's just something I wanted to throw out there. And if Caleb Williams wants to pick USC, he has until this Friday, like 2 days from today. That's when spring registration ends for USC. So if he wants to attend spring practice at USC, he has to make that decision by this Friday. So if he hasn't picked USC by this Friday, I would say it's down to 50-50 between LSU and Wisconsin.
Come on, baby. Hey, if it happens, you have to reshare that with the date.
and just the Mr. Bean when he's walking around just giving everybody the middle fingers and being like, I was right. And I'll reshare that the same day that I reshare it from last February when I said that Joe Barry was the linebacker whisperer and be like, see, listen to me. I'm smarter than Skip Bayless. He shouldn't be making millions of dollars.
Yeah, we should be making millions of dollars.
Yeah.
Damn it.
Yeah, I know it's not a hard flex and it's not a big flex to say that we're smarter than Skip Bayless, but I'll throw it out there.
I mean, the guy's been, he talks about being a journalist for 30 years. Screw your journalism. Your opinions are trash.
Yeah.
That's what this is about.
Yeah. So I just wanted to throw a couple Badgers things out there before we moved into basketball. So are you ready to talk basketball?
Yeah, we're doing Bucks or Badgers first?
Bucks. We'll do Bucks first.
Okay.
We usually do pros then college. Next week we'll do Badgers first. Next week we're gonna have Mike join us, who joined us during the Badgers primer. We're gonna have some guests back with us next week to discuss Badger basketball and give kind of an update on the primer. So next week we'll start with Badgers. Yes, Cody, I'm glad you brought that up because that is a good point to bring up. Caleb Williams is friends with Dean Ingram, who is a cornerback for the Badgers. He did all the the return game stuff, and his dad is actually linked as a potential candidate for the Badgers offensive coordinator position.
Shit, I didn't know all that, man. I'm learning this right now. Wow.
So yes, Cody, thank you for reminding me that that he is friends with Dean Ingram and his dad is a candidate for the offensive coordinator position.
If we get Caleb, I'm not wearing a Lancaster shirt, okay? No.
Nope.
Not doing it.
Nope.
Not doing it.
You would have to pay me at least $100.
Wow.
Yeah.
Just the jersey tee or the whole jersey? They probably don't even make Lancaster jersey tees. What am I asking?
I guarantee you they don't. Like, if they don't make Lazard ones, like I had to get my Lazard one custom. If they don't make Lazard jerseys, they definitely don't make Lancaster jerseys.
That's very true.
Okay. Anyway, back to basketball.
Yes.
The Bucks responded after losing 6 of their last 8, and their only two wins being really big wins over Golden State and Brooklyn. Responded with a 3-game winning streak. So we will start with the Bucks and Grizzlies game. What do you want to say about the Bucks and the Grizzlies?
Well, there's 2 things we know going into this game before it happened. Giannis and John Morant are both top 10 players in the NBA right now. After we left this game, we knew that Giannis and John Morant were top 10 players. This was a great game. Giannis, obviously a man's man. Chris Middleton had a really good game. People need to stop with the Chris slander. I don't understand why we have to keep saying this.
No, you did this. You did this.
I did this now.
Dude, we're gonna get into a segment here where we're gonna talk about players of the week, and we have something called for it. Chris Middleton has played like 8 of his last 9 games at an all-star level, and people will still complain about the damn Toronto game like he had one bad game out of his last 10.
Yeah, dude.
And then just crickets when he goes 10 of 20 for 34 points on the game that Giannis missed.
Yeah. 12 of 20 I have.
I was throwing numbers out because I was heated and I didn't want to look at my notes because I didn't feel like looking it up.
12 of 20, 5 of 7 from 3.
Oh, but he had a bad game against Toronto. He's not worth his contract. And then silence when he lights it up. Stop doing that. If you're not going to be there on the opposite end of the spectrum when he plays well, don't complain about the one bad game that he had. This is an earmuffs time. Earmuffs right now. Anybody watching with kids, earmuffs right now. That is bullshit. Don't do that. 9 out of 10 games plays all-star level. One bad game, and that's the thing you complain about? Don't do that. I'm sick of that. I'm sick of seeing that. Like 4 seasons in a row of that shit. Man. I'm tired of it.
Dude,
you can't tell.
I was having a conversation. His name's Greg. It's actually the guy that sold me the Packers tickets. And I was talking to Greg, about the Packers and if you can't stick with us, we're winning, then you shouldn't be with us in the playoffs. And we're talking about Chris Middleton, we're talking about everything, and he's just like, you know what? People in Wisconsin, they just like to complain, and that's just 100%. Like these people just like to complain. They like to find things to complain about, and you're gonna choose Chris Middleton, who, by the way, is in my Player of the Week because he balled out this week. I'm sure he's in yours too. He played great.
Yep.
I mean, 27, 7 rebounds, 7 assists. What more are you gonna ask from a guy? And this is against the Grizzlies team. This is against a Grizzlies team that was 3rd in the West. So it's not like this is against a Grizzlies team that was still 10th in the West, and it's just John Morant. By the way, they have
won 12 of their last 13 games coming into this game.
They have a great tandem. John Morant and Jaren Jackson, that is a great duo.
Jaren Jackson's a really good matchup for Giannis.
He is. He's long, athletic, can shoot threes.
Yep.
Defend.
That's literally all of it.
Yeah, he does it all.
Yeah, the length, athleticism, and the scoring ability. Jaren Jackson's a really good matchup for Giannis to challenge him. That being said, you don't stop Giannis.
No.
You can only hope to contain him. He had 14 at halftime. He set the tone really early attacking. Hit 2 of 3 threes in the first half.
Yep.
Threw an alley-oop to himself off the backboard because Giannis doesn't care what you want to do. He does what he wants. So, um, Drew Holiday coming back in this game. It's
Yep.
basically a situation that we've discussed with other players. When they come back, they're not going to be at their mid-season performance level. You got to let guys get their legs back. This is something we talked about with Chris. We talked about it with Dante. We talked about it with Giannis. We talked about it with Drew now. We're going to talk about it with somebody else because before this game, at the Bucks practice, there was a player who was there practicing.
Volume up.
He goes by the name of Brook Lopez.
Let's go, baby.
Brook Lopez is back at practice, and
Let's
he's not
go.
off to the side just doing shooting drills. He's like had a big old sweat ring this big on the middle of his shirt. So Brook Lopez is back and practicing.
Let's
That being
go.
said, the last I really should have like saved where I saw this, but the expected date that I saw for Brook Lopez is March 1st. I remember seeing that, and until I see something different, I'm going to stick with that because I think that's a good target date. That's after the All-Star break. That's after the trade deadline. That gives him still another month to finish healing from his back injury, and that gives him about a month and a half of regular season before we get into playoffs. So I think that March 1st is still a really good target date for Brook Lopez. So I'm going to hold on to that one until I see something different. That being said, Jake already mentioned Jaren Jackson. He's a really good matchup for Giannis.
He is.
There was one play. It was about 7 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Ball went all the way around. All 5 players touched the ball. Chris Middleton finished it off by hitting a 3 in the corner. That's the type of ball movement we want to see. Less one-on-one, ISO, less dribbling. We talked about that a couple weeks ago. Wanting to see the Bucks dribble with purpose and not just dribbling to pound the ball into the floor. One thing I got to say, Bobby Portis is an absolute monster on the offensive boards. It's not anything new. He had 4 offensive rebounds in this game. It's nothing new, but it's going to be talked about all the time. Bobby Portis finished with a double-double. He actually said that was one of his goals, was to average a double-double. And he had 14 points, 10 rebounds, and 2 blocks in this game. George Hill added 14, 6, and 6, starting in the point guard role. Pat Connaughton had 13 points. And the Bucks, I'm glad that this is happening because it was one of my goals before the All-Star break. The Bucks are shooting the free throws really well.
They are.
21 of 22 against the Grizzlies. That's a huge key. That's one of the Bucks like Achilles heel things is being a poor free throw shooting team. And so far in the last 2 weeks or so, it seems like they're fixing that.
It's because they're listening to us.
Yeah, that's got to be it. It can't be anything else.
No.
So, did you notice this was, I think it was at about 3:50 left in the fourth quarter, who Drew Holiday was guarding?
Jackson, right?
He was guarding Jaren Jackson.
Yeah.
And both Budenholzer and Drew Holiday talked about it after the game. About Drew Holiday guarding Jaren Jackson. Isaac commented about James Harden crying in his press conference. Anytime anything bad happens to James Harden, as long as it's not like a life-altering thing, that makes me laugh. Like on the basketball I don't want one of his relatives to die, but like if the Nets lose a bunch of games and now James Harden is being linked to the 76ers next year, like that makes me laugh. I don't respect James Harden. So back to Drew Holiday. Budenholzer talked about it after the game. He said, we've messed around with it some this year where we can throw him on a bigger guy and see if they choose to grow it. Drew, he's really good at guarding bigs one-on-one.
He's got such a strong base.
I know, and it's really, really interesting to see the way that they use Drew Holiday in these defensive situations. Obviously, every team presents a different challenge, and it's something that was kind of like what are they doing a little bit when Drew Holiday spent a lot of time guarding Kevin Durant in the Nets series last year.
Yeah.
But Drew Holiday has shown he can guard above his height because he is so strong. We actually saw that at training camp last year, right after they traded for Drew Holiday, and he was guarding Giannis in practice and like not letting Giannis back him down. So Drew Holiday, this is what he said. He said a lot of times they don't even use the screen to try to get the mismatch. Obviously, I don't want to use the screen because then you're getting Drew Holiday switched on.
Because then you're having a guard on a guard, right?
Yeah. So he says they don't want me to switch on him, and he said I feel like that ends up working out well for us. And I would say so.
If you have the guy catch it deep, right? Like say you're having him catch 17, 18 feet out, and he's got his back turned, he's ready to face you up or try to back you down. I think that's a good situation for Drew to be in. The only guy that really is gonna like kill you is Durant. A guy like that that just kill you from the mid range. That's the only way to beat that.
Fadeaways and shoot over you.
Yeah, basically. That's the only way really to beat that. To be honest with you, because he has such good hands. So if you dribble, he can steal it. I don't understand. I still don't understand. In the fourth quarter, we're down by 2. He just gets a steal.
The Drew Holiday fourth-court steal.
How does he do that? He just knows, like, oh, we're now by 2, 18 seconds left. Give me that. Like, just give me the ball. But that's really the only way to beat it. You're talking about him. He's talking about setting the screen. That really is a switch. That's a good situation for the Bucks to be in. You could blitz them, force a bad pass. And that's why they force people to shoot threes.
Yep. So I'm going to come back to this when we do preview because I'm going to throw out a kind of a crazy idea, and we'll see if it happens a little bit. So a couple things that I want to say. Giannis showing off his strength, got a rip away rebound and then an and one layup. That's just Giannis making a grown man move.
Badass.
Bobby Portis is just an artist as far as rebounding is concerned. He puts himself in the right positions. It's a skill that takes a while to learn, but it's super valuable to be able to judge rebounds. And watching Bobby Portis put himself in positions to get rebounds, it's something he doesn't get credit for. Obviously, it shows up in the box score when Bobby Portis has 14 and 10, but he doesn't really get credit for how good of a rebounder he actually is. And obviously, it benefits the Bucks on the offensive end.
Right.
Memphis is the best fast break team in the NBA, and the Bucks matched them 18 points to 18 points on fast break points.
The Bucks should be averaging like 15 to 20 on fast break, just off Giannis alone, really.
Right. There was one play. Giannis had a block, led to Dante DiVincenzo. This pass that he threw, he got one catch through a full court bounce pass across the court to like underneath a guy's arm, and he had his back turned to Giannis, who got an and one layup.
He might have traveled on that play, but it's the NBA.
It's the gather step. That's such a gray area.
I know.
Do you think Ayton is a possibility for the Bucks, and would you want him?
It's going to cost a lot of money, man. I don't know.
He would absolutely be a rental, given the fact that he wants like $40 million a season. He would absolutely be a rental. Honestly, I kind of wouldn't want him because I think the Bucks exposed him in the playoffs last year.
But we have the guy that exposed him.
I understand, but given that he would have to go up potentially against Durant a little bit, obviously it's not going to be much, but then you have to look at a guy like Bam Adebayo. He would be good for it. I don't know if I'd say that he can match Bam.
He can match Bam. Dude, Ayton is a stud. That guy's a 20 and 20 guy, man. Great finisher in the paint. He's not a passer or anything like that.
Bam stretches the floor on offense is the thing that concerns me.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, I guess I'm not opposed. I don't know what it would take to get him.
Yeah, that's the part I was thinking. I'd have to see what we were giving up.
Yeah, I mean, if the money works out and we could just give, Dante, Wara, Semi Ojeleye, and Rodney Hood in a second-round pick, and they would take that, like, sure. But I really think they're going to be in a position where they can get a lot more for DeAndre Ayton. For a team that thinks they can re-sign him, like let's say the Magic, for example, if they would be willing to trade, Mo Bamba and Terrence Ross to Phoenix for DeAndre Ayton, like that I could see as a much bigger possibility, and then Orlando turning around and giving DeAndre Ayton whatever money he wants.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I'd rather have Capella too. That guy's
Isaac said Clint
great
Capella.
finisher.
He's a guy that I'd like around Giannis, even though he's not a great shooter, but
Man, but think of all the blocking we're gonna do. Holy moly. Capella
right?
and Giannis, yeah, come in our paint. See what happens.
So this couple things left in this game. Nope, I already said that. Giannis finished out 33 points, 15 rebounds, 7 assists, 2 steals, and a block. 2 for 4 on 3, 7 of 8 from the free throw line. Jake already mentioned Chris Middleton's 27, 7 and 7. And the only other thing I have to say from this game is get the turnovers down. 15 turnovers is a little high. And then this is one of those things that the Bucks struggled with like the past 2 weeks is closing games. And the Bucks did that this game. They closed the game late. Their lead was cut down to 3 with about 2.5 minutes left. George Hill got 2 free throws, and then Giannis scored 6 straight points. So they responded well against a good team and closed the game out late. And I was happy to see that, in addition to Drew Holiday being back and finding out that Brook Lopez is practicing.
Yep.
All right. Anything else from the Grizzlies game?
No.
All right. Let's talk about the Bulls game.
So you go from the Grizzlies game of 126 to 114, and now you're in the Bucks game of 94-90. The Bucks and Bulls.
Yeah, it goes and then back up when we get to
the
Kings
because the Kings game was just 133,
Shootout.
127. Yeah, crazy. Giannis, 30 points, 12 rebounds, 3 assists. He had 30 of our 94. The guy was a third of our offense. That's crazy. Chris Middleton, 16, 10, and 6. That's still a good game in my opinion, especially when you're in a game that's 94-90. You know neither team is shooting that well. I mean, even Giannis was 11 of 23, which isn't amazing for a guy that really sticks in the paint.
Yeah, that's a little under 50%, yeah.
I mean, Bobby, 12 and 13. He was 5 of 15. He was 1 of 7 from 3.
Six offensive rebounds for Bobby Portis.
Yeah, monster. He didn't play that great. The thing that kind of bothered me in this game, especially at halftime when I was sitting there watching it, DeMar DeRozan had 35 points. Half of his points came from the free throw line. He had 10 free throws at half. Like, that's just – I was like –
phantom foul calls. That was
he really did. And I was like, bro, are they just going to let DeMar freaking go for 50 and shoot 28 free throws? Like, what is happening right now? I mean, he ends up shooting 18, makes 17 of 18. So when he went to the line, he made it count. But – you know, when you look at the field goal percentages from this game, neither team was shooting that good. I mean, the Bucks 34 of 88, and the Bulls are 31 of 85. I mean, that's
I got a stat for you on that.
It's not crazy, but we can't let DeMar go to the free throw line for 18 free throws. What's your stat, buddy?
So you mentioned the bad shooting. This was the Bucks and Bulls, both of their worst 3-point shooting nights of the season.
Oh, I believe it. I mean, Bucks were 19% and the Bulls were 18%. The Bulls were 7 of 38 and the Bucks were 6 of 31. That is horrible. Horrible. This game was hard to watch at some points if it wasn't for Giannis scoring 30.
But I'm here to pat you on the back now.
Oh God.
Because last week you said the Bucks are capable of winning multiple ways.
They are.
And they did that. And they closed out another close game against a good team in a low-scoring affair. In a game that was a lot of free throws and there needed to be a lot of defense. And we're going to talk about Grayson Allen after we finish talking about the rest of this Bulls game. Yep. But what I'm like to see is Chris Middleton. He had a shoulder jab that he just like put the shoulder down, and the dude just like. And then Middleton buried the 3. It's just seeing Middleton's confidence building as he's played well the last couple of weeks. He's also playing more aggressive. He's driving to the hoop. He's starting to maybe get some more calls. But what that's doing is him driving to the hoop more is it gives defenders just a half step of caution because he's doing pump fakes. He's driving to the basket. He's getting some layups. That just gives him just this much more space to shoot, and I think it's helping his field goal percentage.
Oh, 100%.
Obviously, getting layups helps your field goal percentage, but getting yourself just a little bit more space and comfort shooting jumpers also helps your field goal percentage because it gets you better open looks. So I
100%.
like what I'm seeing from Chris Middleton in that aspect. There was one point where Giannis drove on the right side of the lane and then finished on the left side.
Yep.
And it's like, why is he so long?
I don't understand. But he's just so agile for how big he is. It's incredible.
And his finishing ability is second to none. The way that he finishes around the rim in a variety of ways, whether it's finger rolls or throwing the ball off the backboard to himself or dunking on your whole team.
Yep.
It's
He led the NBA last year in most points off finger rolls.
That's a good stat.
I remember seeing that like one of the last games of the year, regular season, and they were like, Giannis leads the NBA in finger roll points. And I was like, I would have never thought about that stat if you didn't tell me that.
All right.
Steve Novak, baby.
Nice. All right.
Yes,
So
sir.
I predicted that Giannis was going to go for 40 against the Bulls. Obviously, it's ended up turning into a low-scoring game, but Giannis still had 30 points, 12 rebounds, 3 assists, and 2 blocks. And a game the team only scored. Yeah, exactly.
So it's like 40.
Right. That's if this game is a 120 to 118, like Giannis would have 40.
Shit, he might have had 50 if he kept being that much of our offense.
Middleton, 6 of 15. That's 40% on field goals. That's not great. It's not awful, but it's not great. But he did turn in the double-double, 16 points, 10 rebounds, added 6 assists, and I will have more with Chris Middleton when we get to it. And you mentioned Bobby Portis, the 12 points, the 13 rebounds. I threw out the 6 offensive rebounds. Guess how many offensive rebounds the Bulls had as a team?
6.
6.
Oh, man, I'm getting good at this game, baby.
Bobby Portis had as many offensive rebounds as the entire Chicago Bulls roster.
Man, that has to hurt since he got drafted by the Bulls.
I bet it does. I bet he was nowhere near the three-point shooter that he was then.
No, dude, he's a great – I mean, I know he shot bad in this game, but he is a great three-point shooter. He's now – I mean, he shot a lot in the corners last year. He still shoots in the corner.
Dude, he's walking into him at the top of the –
the top of the key ones are big because he can be kind of that secondary break.
I brought that up with you a couple weeks ago that he was purposely trailing behind plays when Giannis is driving to the rim, and he's purposely trailing behind, and everybody's so focused on Giannis that they forget about Bobby Portis, and he's just getting wide open threes.
Yeah, wide open, dude. Top of the key just.
Before we talk about Grayson Allen, I want to mention one thing about three-point shots. At one point in this game, the Bulls missed 18 in a row.
That's very bad. That is very bad.
All right, so let's talk about Grayson Allen. What do you think about this? I mean, he's suspended for tonight's game. Mm-hmm. He got a flagrant 2. I have my personal thoughts about it, but I will share that. I want to get your opinion on Grayson Allen before I share mine.
Okay, so before I say anything, I was debating this play with a couple Bulls fans, and one of them is going through a tough time, and I told him, I'm sorry for your tough time. His dad actually passed away, so that's very sad. That's concerning to me. I mean, you guys have seen my dad. Tyler's close to his dad. Dads are important, man, and to go through something like that and to be that high on your emotions is probably why he reacted the way he did. But please, everybody just understand that it's just sports, okay? There's no reason to try to go anywhere outside of that realm. Now, to my point, I do not think there's any intentions to actually injure him. Did Grayson Allen think, after that play happened that Caruso is going to be out 6 to 8 weeks? Absolutely not. He's making a basketball play. Grayson Allen is just a super competitive guy, and he hates losing. And I can tell that just because I have a stepson who's 9 years old, and he destroys his entire room when he loses. So I have to try to rein that in and be like, hey, you got to take that energy into trying to get better at your game. Now, Grayson Allen, was he dirty at Duke? Yeah. Did he do some dirty things early in his career in Summer League when he first got in the NBA? Yeah, he did when he swung on that guy in the Summer League game. But after that, I don't think that he's a dirty player. I don't think of Grayson Allen as a dirty player anymore, not just because he's on the Bucks. I haven't heard anything about him.
I think he cleaned it up in Memphis.
And when you look past that, if you take your judgment and look past all that stuff, you might find out that Grayson Allen has some game. He has a little bit of a handle, a little bit of a jump shot. He's got some good on-ball defense. He's a good player. He's a
But he's
glue guy.
tough.
He's a glue guy. You know, you have all these star players like the Bucks. You're just like, okay, we need a guy that plays defense and shoots threes. Glue guy, Grayson Allen. Boom. Guard. He can guard on the perimeter. He can go down low, mix it up.
It's like
I don't think he's trying to be dirty.
You're still in here. You need a glue guy. You need a guy that can shoot threes and play physical and play with energy.
Yep.
Bobby Portis. Give me that.
Yep. Or Pat Connaughton. I mean, there's just a number of players on the Bucks. I don't think it was a dirty play. I think he was going for the ball.
Yep. Before I say what I want to say, I want to say that Billy Donovan is super soft for his comments.
Dude, oh my God. He should be out as long as the other guy's out.
He should be out as long as Caruso was injured. Like this, he could have ended his career. Yes, that could happen to any player at any time.
Okay, what happened to Amari Stoudemire after Andrew Bogut freaking destroyed his elbow? There was no suspension for that. Was that a dirty play? That play was easily more dirty than the Grayson Allen play.
Easily. That play was horribly unnecessary. That transitions into what I wanted to say is that Grayson Allen, he's not trying to pull a guy down by his shoulders. He didn't swing at his head or his face or his neck. He didn't grab him by the neck. He didn't grab him by the shoulders. Those are the flagrant two things. The first contact was with his left hand, and he went for the ball. And then the second arm, this is in my opinion, I'm sure if you're a Bulls fan, you see it differently. But the second arm was to try to make sure that Caruso didn't get an and one attempt.
Mm-hmm.
That's why he's swinging at the hands, the arms, is that he's trying to make sure Caruso doesn't get an attempt there. Part of this, too, is I think Caruso is trying to avoid contact. So if Caruso is trying to spin in the air while Grayson is swinging at his arms, it's a hard foul. I'm not going to say that it's a good foul. It's a hard foul. I would be fine with a flagrant 1. That being said, he was given the flagrant 2 foul and suspended for a game. We talked about this before the show, and this is what I said about this, is that 95% of the NBA does not get a 1-game suspension and a flagrant 2 foul for that play.
Yep, exactly.
The name Grayson Allen, because he's had issues in the past, which has been a long time in the past now, at least 4 years, the name Grayson Allen is what got him the 1-game suspension.
I 100% agree with that.
That's another one of those things, is that Billy Donovan said that he's been a dirty player going back to college. He graduated college in 2018 was when he came out of college.
He was a dirty player. Hasn't been a dirty player since college is what he really should have said. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
But he has to speak up for his guys. I understand it. And
it's
come on, man.
One incident in 4 years after basically I would say is cleaning up his image. Like, I know when the Bucks first traded for him, the people were concerned. They're like, oh, I didn't like him at Duke because one of the dirty plays that he had was against Wisconsin.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, I don't think for a second that Grayson Allen was trying to injure Caruso on that play. Not for a second.
I mean, the entire Bucks team says, like, oh, we love him in practice. We love him. We love playing with him. He plays hard. He's a good guy. Like,
he's a
the coaching staff and every single one of the players is, like, backing him. I don't think that he had that intention to hurt anybody. I really don't.
Honestly, I didn't see any other Bulls players say anything bad about it. Billy Donovan is the only one that I saw say things about it.
Now, let's clean this up a little bit. We don't wish that Caruso got hurt. Of course not. We never ever cheer for injuries ever. Right. That's what took this from like just a conversation to like a problem, I guess we'll say, because it was not really a problem in my opinion. I think
Caruso came back and finished the game with tape on his wrist.
Yeah, but then he needed surgery, and that's what got him to this point.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's to keep him out as long as Caruso was hurt thing. That's a really childish response, in my opinion, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can't determine intent on something like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little bit different if, like a helmet-to-helmet hit in the NFL when a guy leads with his helmet. That's a little bit different than a
Right.
guy swinging at somebody's arms trying to prevent an attempt at an and one or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I just thought that was a really unnecessary comment by Billy Donovan. And like I said, 95% of the NBA, that's a flagrant one. That's 2 free throws in the ball and not a suspension.
Good.
Like a handful of guys that we threw out before the show started was like Ron Artest. I threw Dwight Howard out there because he gets technical fouls a lot. I threw Lance Stevenson out there. Jake said maybe DeMarcus Cousins. Just guys like that get a lot of technical fouls, honestly.
Draymond Green, you said?
Yeah, Draymond Green is one of those guys that would maybe get that flagrant 2 in suspension. But I mean, if
nobody
Dante
wants to call Draymond dirty and he's kicking people in the balls.
Yeah. No, like if Dante DiVincenzo makes that play, it's a flagrant 1 and no suspension.
Mm-hmm.
If Jordan Clarkson makes that play, that's not a flagrant 2 and a suspension.
Right. I mean, it is what it is. Say James Harden made that play. People aren't going to start calling him dirty.
He's definitely not getting suspended.
No.
Yeah. If Devin Booker makes that play, he's not getting suspended.
No, but he would try to get the mascot kicked out. Weak ass. I'm not letting him get over that. I'm not letting him get over that. Weak ass.
All right. Is there anything else you want to say about the Bucks and the Bulls?
Nah, it felt good to beat another Chicago team because we own you.
Yeah. And I think as far as teams being fully healthy, because they didn't play with Zach LaVine and Drew Holiday was still on a minutes restriction in this game, the Bucks are going to wax the Bulls.
We're gonna
a full strength team on both sides. Giannis is going for 40. You do not have anybody to stop Giannis.
And they're gonna get desperate. They're gonna try to go crazy and try to get somebody, but they're obviously
going
to
trade one of their better offensive players if they do that.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen that they're going to try to get Jeremy Grant, and they maybe have to give up Vucevic to get him.
Yeah, I saw that too. I'm really looking forward. What I want in the playoffs in the second round, I want Bucks versus Bulls, and then I want Heat versus Nets. That would be a great.
That'd be a good series.
2 great semifinal series. And when I brought it up in our group chat, Cody was like, "Bucks would beat the Bulls in 5 games," and I was like, "Easily." I'd give them a game, but we would destroy them.
Yeah. All right, let's talk Bucks and Kings, the third of the 3-game winning streak, and it seems weird, like some of the scheduling the Bucks have going on, like the fact that they play back to back and then don't play again until Wednesday. Like we talked about this before the show, that like the Packers loss sucked, but then we had to wait until Wednesday to get another game.
Man, that's
like
so bad.
Like the Badgers were supposed to play last night. That game got rescheduled for tomorrow night. But then next week too, they play Wednesday, Friday, Sunday, Tuesday, and then they don't play again until Friday. Like they play every other day, and then they don't have another game until. Actually, they don't even play Friday. They play Saturday. They go from Tuesday to Saturday.
Oh, Jesus. Well, this Bucks and Kings game was really, really high scoring. No Giannis in this game for the Bucks, and then no De'Aaron Fox for Sacramento. So the 2 best players for each team are out.
Yep.
After the Bucks won this game, it was their 11th straight win versus the Kings. Not surprising because the Kings are terrible.
The last one was?
No, what was that?
February 1st, 2016.
Jesus Christ. I was living in Sheboygan, dude. The last time the Kings beat the Bucks, I was living in Sheboygan. Oh, my God, dude. My life, dude, I literally wow, bro, you just blew my mind. Holy camoli. You just blew my mind. Anyways, I'm going to try to get back here. Wow. Dante had a great game, 20 points. Nice to see him shooting the ball well. Drew Holiday, 26 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists. Nice to have Drew back. And I'm going to let Tyler handle the Chris Middleton stuff. Bobby only scored 6 points, but 12 rebounds. Again, the guy's just a monster on the boards. I wanted to mention George Hills with 17. That's awesome to see that. But the thing I wanted to shout out for the Kings is Wisconsin native out of Oshkosh. Halliburton
Potential future Buck.
Man, 24 points, 6 rebounds, 12 assists. Kid's looking good. That's all I got to say. Kid's looking good.
For anybody wondering, this is a guy the Bucks have been rumored to be interested in. I mentioned a couple weeks ago the Bucks were attending a Kings-Cavaliers game.
Mm-hmm.
The Bucks have been rumored to be interested in Tyrese Halliburton. For Bucks fans that don't watch Kings games, because nobody does, his play style, I would say, is similar to Malcolm Brogdon. He can defend, he can shoot, he can pass. He's a good, solid point guard, and he's a little bit bigger. I think he's like 6'3". So
yeah, he's like a tweener guard.
Yeah,
he's a little bit of a point guard, a little bit of a shooting guard. That's how I would explain him too.
Yeah. So, like I said, the play style of Malcolm Brogdon is how I would describe Tyrese Halliburton. I'd like to see Chris Middleton staying aggressive in this game. Chris Middleton handled himself this game.
He did.
He played the way that you want to see Chris Middleton play when Giannis is out. You want to see Chris Middleton with that killer mentality, and he lit it up. Jake already mentioned George Hill, who at one point when the Bucks were down by double digits, George Hill hit back-to-back three-pointers that gave the Bucks the lead. So George Hill was active in this game. Just a handful of takeaways that I have. The Bucks still need a rim protector. I mentioned Brook Lopez is back to practice, but the Bucks need a rim protector. Rashad Holmes got some really nice, easy dunks in this game. But the Bucks still need a rim protector. That being said, flipping over to the offensive end, Chris Middleton just going off. The Kings are trying to deny him the ball. Chris Middleton gets a catch. He keeps a guy on his left shoulder, gets a catch on this side, turns baseline, gets fouled as a guy is coming to double him, and still catches the jump shot.
Yeah.
And then this is something we talked about and something that I'm going to bring up. We talked about dribbling with purpose. Middleton at one point brings the ball up, spins the ball behind his back, does a spin move, drops the ball off to George Hill for a layup. It was Middleton handling the ball like a point guard, and it freaked me out a little bit because it's like, where was that like the last 2 weeks when you were turning the ball over a whole bunch?
Man, oh man. He was just getting his legs under him, I think.
And he's forced to play point guard. Like when Drew Holiday's out, like Middleton's forced to bring the ball up. He's not a ball handler. He plays better off the ball. He's not a ball handler. He's not a point guard, but he's forced into it because him and Giannis are the best players in the team, and they're the guys that handle the ball.
Mm-hmm.
So Middleton was forced to play point guard. It is what it is, and that's what led to a bunch of turnovers. That being said, the Bucks only had 7 turnovers in this game. That is definitely something I was happy to see. That was one of my other goals for the Bucks, was to get the turnovers down.
Mm-hmm.
They're like really in the middle of the league right now. I want to see them get into the top 10. And then Drew Holiday looks like he's got his legs back at one point. He got a drive and a dunk. His legs look good. He looks better. He's got 26 points, 5 rebounds, and 4 assists in this game. You already mentioned the 17 by George Hill. Pat Connaughton added 15 points, and Chris Middleton lit it up. 34 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, and as Jake mentioned before, 5 of 7 on threes. You mentioned Bobby Portis struggling, still got the 12 rebounds. And then Dante DiVincenzo showed up for a game. And he was cashing threes. He was 3 for 5 on threes. He finished with 20 points. It was just a good bounce back from a poor shooting night to go to a hot shooting night. The Bucks were 50% on threes, 21 for 42, and continuing the good free throw shooting. I'm very, very happy to see that. 22 for 25 on free throws in this game.
Yeah. That free throws win games, baby. Free throws win games.
And that second quarter was the key. The Bucks were down by double digits at one point. They led by double digits at one point, but they were down by double digits at one point. The second quarter, they outscored Sacramento 35-19. The rest of the game was pretty even. So that being said, before we do our new segment, I just want to throw out a couple of things. The Bucks are up to 10th in the NBA in free throw percentage, so they're getting close. I wanted to get them into the top 10. They're 7th in the NBA in three-point percentage. The turnovers are slowly improving. I already mentioned Grayson Allen is suspended for tonight. The Bucks without Drew Holiday this year are 4-9. So Drew Holiday is a very key piece of this team. Having him back, the Bucks are now on a 3-game winning streak. With the whole big three playing in games, the Bucks are 19-3.
Yep.
So for anybody who thinks that the Bucks are fading and their window is already closed or whatever, or they're not one of the top teams in the East or in the NBA, or they're not a title contender, that's just straight up false. When the Bucks are healthy, they are winning a lot.
Well, healthy. We don't have Brooke. If we had Brooke, we
still don't have Brooke. Yeah,
we'd be waxing people, honestly.
Yeah. So that being said, any Bucks slander, I would direct you to their record when they're as healthy as they can be.
Yeah, we will destroy.
Yeah.
And by the way, all of our big three can play home and road games.
You
like that one?
That's good. I agree with that.
Like that one? Yeah.
All right. So that being said, Jake and I are going to do a new thing. We do 3 stars of the game every Packers game. So now, week to week, every week, we are going to do a power pair. So each of us are going to have a pair of players. We're going to do this for the Bucks and the Badgers. We're going to have a Bucks power pair of the week, and we're going to have a Badgers power pair of the week. So that being said, I think Jake and I have the same 2 this week, and it might be the case. But give me one of your power pair and explain why, and then I'll do one because I think we have the same 2.
I'm gonna let you keep your guy, and I'll take everybody's guy. I have Giannis. He averaged 31 points, 13 rebounds, 5 assists. I mean, what more could be said about this guy? This guy's a 7-foot point guard at times, and he's still grabbing 13.5 rebounds and going for 30. I mean, like I said, really the reason I put him on here is because of that Bulls game. We scored 94 points, and he had 30 of them. He really, really showed his importance to this team every game that he plays, with the Bucks up 14-11 on the Cavaliers right now. And Bobby Portis is looking like an early power pair candidate as he has 2 threes. But Giannis, 31, 13, and 5. I mean, that's a hell of a week for anybody.
Yeah, that's basically everything that I had on Giannis. That's why we're just going to do one. The other one that I think we both had was Chris Middleton. He would have been, if we were doing 1, 2, 3 stars, Chris Middleton would have been my number 1 strictly because he played all 3 games. Giannis missed the 1 game, so that's why I would have had Chris Middleton ahead. Bobby Portis would have earned an honorable mention for me. But Chris Middleton, 25.7 points, 7.7 rebounds, and 6 assists over those 3 games. 4. Do you know what the number 4 is?
What's that?
He had 4 turnovers in those 3 games combined.
Yeah, he was much better. When the Bucks don't turn the ball over with their lazy, we both hate it. When they dribble too much, we talked about it. When they dribble too much, that's when they get into trouble. So when everybody's moving and touching the ball and everybody's involved, the Bucks are pretty much unstoppable. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah. 4 turnovers in the last 3 games after having 8 against Atlanta.
Yep.
So, yeah, I would say Chris Middleton is back. And like I ranted before, if you complain about his 1 game after he's had 9 good games out of the last 10, just go away. Go away.
If you complain about 1 game after he has a lot of good games, you have some personal issues you have to figure out.
Yeah. I'm frankly tired of it. And the is he worth his contract when there's guys like Tobias Harris that make more money than Middleton? Middleton, honestly, pay-wise, is exactly where he belongs. He's like the 5th best small forward in the NBA, and his pay is 5th best small forward in the league.
Yep.
And I posted the stats like 2 weeks ago that he's got a better free throw or a better field goal and a better 3-point percentage than a bunch of guys that should have better percentages than him. If you want to say they're better than him as far as, all the best players in the NBA. Chris Middleton is right in that 20-25 range, I would say.
If we did a list, he'd probably be in there, yeah.
So he's paid what he deserves, and if the Bucks hadn't signed him when they did, he'd be playing in Dallas right now for max money.
Yeah, with Luka. They'd be going crazy.
He took a little bit less to stay in Milwaukee. So people should be thankful for Chris Middleton for that.
I mean, and a trophy.
Yeah, there's that, and closing out the Eastern Conference Finals when Giannis was out.
Yeah, true.
So real quick, I'm just gonna preview what the Bucks have coming up. Tonight they're playing Cleveland, so I'm looking at Darius Garland and Jared Allen to see if Drew Holiday can handle the challenge and Bobby Portis handle his challenge. Bucks are fourth in the NBA in scoring. Cleveland is 22nd. So sounded like the Bucks were off to an early start, so that's good to see. Friday, the Bucks play the Knicks again. The Knicks are 27th in scoring, so they're even farther behind Cleveland, who's actually been a pretty decently surprising team. The Knicks are 29th in the NBA in assists, so there's a lot of one-on-one isolation basketball going on there, especially with Julius Randle, who has just plummeted this season.
We can watch him go 11 of 28 every fucking game. Jesus Christ.
The last time the Bucks and the Knicks played, Julius Randle and Evan Fournier were a combined 4 of 17, 2 of 12 on threes.
Yikes.
The Knicks won the first matchup, but as we've talked about, the Bucks have not been fully healthy all season, and that was in early November. So then Sunday, the Bucks play the Nuggets. Now, I brought up Drew Holiday guarding Jaren Jackson for a reason, because we don't have Brook Lopez back, and Bobby Portis, he's not a rim protector. And Nikola Jokic is bigger. So I just want to throw this out there, just in case it happens. Maybe, just maybe for a couple possessions, put Drew Holiday on Nikola Jokic and see what happens.
I don't know. That'd be interesting, actually.
Why not? Just try it out. Just see what happens.
Jokic is different, though. He has a handle. That could be tough.
He's
tough
got
to
good
guard.
footwork. I mean, the only thing I just don't know if he's. Oh, man, he can't defend like a stationary chair, but I mean, just throwing it out there, maybe
we could try it. Never know.
I mean, yeah, just try it, see what happens. That being said, Nikola Jokic leads Denver in points, rebounds, and assists. He's probably a lot of people's MVP right now.
Yeah.
But the Nuggets are really good at sharing the ball. They're fourth in the NBA in assists and third in the NBA in assist to turnover ratio. So the Bucks got to make their possessions count, and the Bucks got to not turn the ball over.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens with that. I'm just throwing it out there because Budenholzer is aware that they're putting Drew Holiday on opposing bigs. So, and then next Tuesday, the Bucks play the Wizards. They started hot this season, and they've really fizzled out.
Man, they blew that game against the Clippers last night. 35-point
35,
lead.
Yeah.
And they let Luke Kennard game them. Oh, that's bad.
A 4-point play.
Bad.
They are one of the worst 3-point shooting teams in the NBA, which plays into the Bucks' strengths. So Bucks have that going for them. They do have 5 players averaging in double figures, so they have some balanced scoring. They have Bradley Beal. So the Bucks just got to play some focused defense, and they do what they do. They let other teams shoot threes because that's the shot they live with. So, I mean, Bradley Beal is still a baller, but if you look at his percentages, not having that great of a season, he's a volume scorer.
And he's not a defender, so.
Yes, this is true. Yeah.
There's that.
That's all I got. Do you have anything else you want to say about the Bucks?
Nah, man. Let's talk about this Michigan State game. Ugh.
Yeah, only one Badger game in the last week because they got their one postponed.
They got 3 next week, so we'll have 3 to cover next week on Mikey, so that'll be nice.
Yeah, next week's Thursday, so we will cover the Illinois game next Thursday.
Yes, next Thursday. So Michigan State versus Wisconsin. Badgers lost this one 86-74. Kind of tough loss. Wisconsin started this game 8-0. And then Michigan State, Tom Izzo's a great coach. Love Tom Izzo.
Yeah, he's a good coach. Yep.
I will never hate on Tom Izzo, even though he's in our conference. He's just a good guy, great coach. He was really in his players' face about effort. He calls a timeout. They come out of the timeout, and they were beating us to every basketball. They were getting tough layups. They were making the extra passes. And then as soon as that little stuff started happening, then guys started making 3-point shots, and they were getting all the 50-50 balls, and it kind of looked like Wisconsin was kind of deer in the headlights for a little bit there, and Michigan State just kind of brought it to us. And I brought this up every single week, and I'm going to continue to bring it up every single week.
Bench
the Badgers, yes, 7 bench points. Michigan State scored 86 points, right? Half of their points came off the bench. 43 bench points.
Dude, if the Badgers, even if the rest of the team just matches what Johnny Davis and Brad Davison put up, the Badgers scored 94 points.
Yeah.
Johnny Davis and Brad Davison combined for 47.
Yep, they
If
did.
the rest of the team just matches those two players, the Badgers win by 8.
Yeah. I mean, Bowman had 4 and Neath had 3. That's our 7 bench points. Here's the real thing that really you bring up free throws, right?
Yep.
So the Badgers are a great free throw shooting team. 10 of 11. Michigan State shot 28 free throws in our house. They shot 17 more free throws. That's just disgusting, in my opinion. You can't have that happen. And with them shooting great on free throws, they only shot 12 threes, made half of them. So they did good there. And they shot 29 of 55 from the field overall. They took it to us, man. It is what it is. Michigan State's a good team. The Big Ten, again, is just loaded with good teams top to bottom. You can get a good game out of a Northwestern tomorrow.
There's like 6 Big Ten teams ranked right now.
Yeah. Tomorrow when we play Nebraska, I don't know what's going to happen. We could get a game out of Nebraska. I'm not sure. I mean, I was looking at some of their recent games, and they played pretty good against Ohio State. They just had a game that was canceled, I think, yesterday.
That's the Badgers.
No. It was on Saturday maybe then. But they were supposed to play Ohio State, and that game got postponed and moved as well. So they're supposed to play Ohio State again. But, yeah, I mean, Nebraska's not that good. They're one of the worst teams in the league, and the Big Ten, just top to bottom, is good.
Stacked. It's stacked.
Yeah. It's the SEC, like the SEC is in football. The Big Ten owns basketball.
I was just going to say the Big Ten is the best conference in basketball.
Yeah.
Michigan State, I mean, you got to give them credit. Their scoring was really, really balanced. It's something I wish I could say for the Badgers because it was horribly lopsided.
Yeah.
I mentioned the 47 points scored by Davis and Davison, 47. The rest of the team scored 27.
Yep.
I like what I'm seeing from Chucky Hepburn so far. His expectations are going to continue to rise, but he struggled a little bit in this game shooting. Johnny Davis led the team in points, rebounds, and assists. But with one thing you didn't mention is no Tyler Wall in this game.
Yep.
He had that injury late in the Northwestern game where he rolled his ankle. He missed this game with an ankle injury. He's been averaging 15 points in the last 7 games. And not only that, they miss him on the defensive end. So when Jake's mentioning those free throws, Tyler Wall is a really good defender without fouling. And obviously, looking at this at the end of the game, seeing that Michigan State made 22 free throws and shot 28, having Tyler Wall would have helped that.
Yep, 100%.
Seeing that the Badgers got basically 2/3 of their points from 2 guys, Tyler Wall would have helped that.
And Wall goes to the free throw line. So he would have got them in foul trouble too. So could have changed a lot of stuff.
Tyler Wall makes this a different game. That being said, I'm not terribly concerned about the Badgers losing this game. Like Jake said, Michigan State is still a good basketball team.
Yeah. I mean, they're top 10, basically. They're top 10 now after they beat 10, us.
Yep.
And we're number 11.
And the Badgers are 11. So that's perfectly fair. I saw the Badgers drop to 11. I'm like, that's a fair spot for the Badgers.
Yeah, I'm not upset with that either.
Yeah. The Badgers' 3-point shooting, it's come out of nowhere, it seems like. Badgers were 12 for 29 on threes. Brad Davison was 6 for 10.
No, that's crazy.
And Johnny Davis, that's one of the things that I mentioned with him, that his 3-point shooting has really impressed me. The Badgers cut this game down to 6 with 10 minutes left, but they just couldn't get over the hump. And that's where they could have used a guy like Tyler Wall to just that little more effort. Brad Davison, I criticized Brad Davison at times last year when he wasn't shooting well. That's when he stopped doing other things.
His effort,
and he's done a 180 this year. He's effort 100% of the time, even when he's shooting well. He's diving on the floor. He's hyping up opposing teams' crowds. He's screaming. He's yelling at his teammates to hype his teammates up. Like Brad Davison he's really, really a true leader on this team this year, despite not being the number 1 guy. I mean, he's the number 2 guy, but Brad Davison is doing a really good job of leading this team that is very, very young.
I agree.
All right. So that being said, I think our power pair is pretty obvious that it's the two guys we've been talking about. But
Yep.
you pick one, I'll pick the other one.
Wow. I'll take Brad Davison. I mean, what can't be said about this guy? He's a good leader. He's been in college for like 9 years now, it feels like. But he's taking and making big shots this year. He, in my opinion, has improved his playmaking a little bit. His passing ability has been better. And he's, for a little guy, he's a tough rebounder. So, he had a good game against Michigan State. There was one game. We only have one game to pick from. So we're going to take the top two players from that game.
Yep.
So Brad Davison was great in that game.
Yeah, and I love what I'm seeing from Brad Davison on defense. He's working hard to get over screens. He's scrappy. He's diving on the floor. I love what I'm seeing from Brad Davison. And obviously, it's Johnny Davis. He's probably going to be in the power pair every single week of the Badgers unless he sits out some games.
Yeah,
that's the only way that I don't foresee Johnny Davis being in the power pair for the Badgers every week. And like I said, he led the Badgers in every category. And his three-point shooting, I would say it's exceeded my expectations, probably double what I would have expected from him as far as his three-point shooting is concerned. So that being said, Jake is going to let you guys know what is coming up next for the Badgers in the next week.
Okay, so next week, first game is tomorrow against Nebraska. I just wrote down some little tidbits here. Nebraska is 6-13 this year. They are currently on a 6-game losing streak. So not very good times over there in Lincoln, Nebraska. They have 0 conference wins so far this year. They are 0-8. And the player to look out for Nebraska is Bryce McGowens. He's a freshman, 6'7", long kid. He is averaging 15.7 points, 5.5 rebounds, and 1.6 assists. And he shoots 39% of his field goals. So he's a kid that in a couple of years from now, we could be really talking about this kid as something, we play Nebraska, like, we got to watch out for McGowens. He has scored in double figures in 8 of his last 9. Now, remember, this kid's a freshman. So he's young and he's learning how to score. He's the player to look out for. The next game after that, Wisconsin plays against Minnesota. We always love beating Minnesota and Chicago teams. That's one thing in Wisconsin.
Border battles.
Yep. Minnesota actually plays Ohio State tonight on ESPN at 7 p.m. So if you wanted to get a better feel for them, you could watch that game. The Bucks are playing right now at the end of the first quarter. So maybe you could flip between the Bucks and the Golden Gophers. The Golden Gophers are 2-5 in conference. Their 2 wins are against Rutgers and Michigan. And the player to look out for Minnesota is actually a kid that transferred from George Washington to Minnesota this year. His name is Jamison Battle. He's a bucket. That's what I got. When I looked at this kid, he shoots the ball well from everywhere on the floor, and he's averaging 18 points, 6.3 rebounds, and 0.9 assists. He won't pass the ball very much.
And he has a badass name.
Yeah, Jamison Battle's a nasty
That's a badass name.
So for Illinois, that's the next game after this. That's next Wednesday. Remember, we will not be live on Wednesday. We'll be live on Thursday. So everybody will be free to watch that game and then come tune in the next day after that and get all your recap. Illinois is one of the better teams. They're one of the Big Ten teams that's ranked at 14-5, 7-2 in the conference. Their conference losses are against Purdue in double OT and against Maryland. They had no Kofi Cockburn in the game that they lost to Maryland. Kofi Cockburn is the player to watch out for. Obviously, if you watch the Badgers, religiously, you found out about him last year. He's big. He dunks the ball. And who was it against? It might have been against Purdue, actually. But I remember tuning in and watching that game a little bit, and he had one dunk, and I thought he was going to tear the entire damn thing off. Like, I thought he was going to rip the whole backboard and shit off. I was like, oh, my God, that's a big dude. Like, and he's listed as 7 foot 285. That's a big-ass dude. So, I mean, we're going to have our hands full with him. I mean, we got 2 big guys this year, but they're kind of soft, to be honest with you. I mean, they're a little better than last year, but they're still kind of soft. We'll see what happens. Maybe we double them for somebody else. They still got Carmelo, I think his name is, that point guard. He was a freshman last year. Is his name Carmelo or Darmelo or whatever? But he's a good guard. He was sitting behind Ayo. He was sitting behind him last year, and he came in. He had some big moments. Actually, Illinois and Wisconsin had a really good game last year in Madison.
They did. That game, so close. Demetric
Trice.
balling at the end of
He
that
was
game.
going crazy,
He was
man.
going nuts.
He was trying to will us back.
I was getting ready for my sister's wedding actually that day. I was watching
Oh,
that
really?
game and I was like, oh, yeah, the Badgers going to come back? Like, oh, man, Demetric Trace, what did he score? Like 24 points in like 10 minutes?
Yeah, he hit like 6 straight threes or some shit. But, yeah. So that is your preview to look forward to. That Illinois game is really going to be a big one. Before that, I mean, Nebraska, we should wax Nebraska.
Curbelo, that's what it is.
That's what
Andre
it is.
Curbelo.
And then the Minnesota game, that'll be a competitive game. Minnesota's not a complete wash. They're kind of in that middle area where they're not ready to compete with the big dogs. They're like the best of the worst of the best kind of deal. So we should win that game, and then the Illinois game will be a real challenge for us. So we'll find out what the Badgers are about. 3 games this week, so looking forward to it,
Big Ten matchups. So
yes, sir.
Despite losing to Michigan State, the Badgers did continue their streak. This is now 6 in a row of consecutive 10 Big Ten games scoring 70 points. So the Badgers, their pace is so much better this year than it's been in the past.
Oh, yeah. That's why people think that they can actually do something or make some noise in March, man. We got a star player, and we play with better pace. If they find a way to get consistent bench production, holy freaking shit, we might win the whole damn thing.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it too. The Badgers don't turn the ball over. They shoot a high free throw percentage. They defend without fouling. Like this is rounding out to be a pretty solidly complete team. Next Thursday when we do the show, we're gonna have some other people with us, and we're gonna update on some of the things that we talked about in the primer before the season, and see where we stand on some of the goals and some of the predictions that we had.
Yeah, I'm excited. Sucks that we only have Bucks and Badgers now, but hey, we got 2 damn good basketball teams that could make some noise and win a lot of games, and let's just enjoy it.
All right. Well, I will see you next Thursday then.
All right, buddy.
Bucks. Go Badgers.
Go Bucks. Go Badgers. Later, buddy.